The crystalline chamber hummed with tension as representatives from 847 species gathered around the central dais. Ancient beings who had ruled the galaxy for millennia now faced their greatest fear: change. Pure energy crackling within containment fields pulsed with agitation. Beside them, the crystalline collective's silicon forms resonated at frequencies that made the air itself vibrate with unease. The hive-mind nexus's 1,000 insectoid bodies moved as one, their compound eyes reflecting the same unanimous decision. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Sarah Chin, the sole human representative, her chin raised defiantly as accusations echoed through the vast space. 50 years. That's all it had taken for humanity to transform from primitive newcomers to the galaxy's most troubling wildcard, while other species had spent millennia perfecting single technologies. Humans had absorbed, modified, and improved upon everything they touched with terrifying speed. The charges rang out like hammer blows. Humans had taken the Veltar energy matrices and somehow doubled their efficiency within months. They'd modified ancient, crystalline computational cores to process data at rates that shouldn't be possible. Most damning of all, they'd begun asking questions about the forbidden archives, technologies so dangerous that elder races had agreed to seal them away eons ago. They refused to accept limitations, hissed the Nexus through their primary speaker. They see our warnings as challenges, our taboos as suggestions. In 5 decades, they've advanced further than some species do in millennia. The Zephyrian collectives' voice crackled like distant lightning. Their emotional chaos infects everything they touch. They cannot comprehend the stability we've built over millions of years. They threaten the very foundations of galactic civilization. Elder Korthok, of the Crystalline Collective, added his resonant voice to the chorus of condemnation. They modify our technologies without understanding the consequences. They experiment with forces that destroyed entire star systems in the past. They are a virus in the body of our peaceful galaxy. Ambassador Chen listened to each accusation without flinching. When the chamber finally fell silent, she stepped forward, her voice carrying clearly through the vast space without technological amplification. You call us unpredictable because you've forgotten what growth looks like. Because we refuse to accept that impossible is a permanent state. You've had millions of years to perfect your technologies, and in 50 years we've matched and exceeded them. It doesn't make us wrong. It makes you complacent. The chamber erupted in outraged harmonics and subsonic growls. Chen raised her hand and somehow, impossibly, silence fell. You've made your decision already. I can see it in your energy patterns, your resonance frequencies, your pheromone signatures. You're going to exile us because you're afraid. What we've done, but of what we might become. So the vote was swift and merciless. 846 species voted for exile. Only the young Ketheri abstained. The reptilian features unreadable as they recalled the profitable partnerships they'd forged with human traders. As the decree was read, banishing humanity to the galactic rim where resources were scarce and survival nearly impossible, Chen smiled. It wasn't the smile of defeat. It was the smile of someone who had just been handed the greatest gift imaginable. Absolute freedom. You fear what you don't understand, she said, her words carried to every corner of the chamber by perfect acoustics. We'll show you what happens when humanity is truly free to be human. The chamber fell silent as the implications of those words settled over the ancient species like a shroud. 200 years passed before the galaxy understood the true meaning of Chun's prophecy. The Outer Rim, desolate wasteland of dying stars and resource-poor systems where humanity had been banished, became something the Council never anticipated, a forge. While the galaxy's established species continued their slow, careful existence, humans threw themselves into the void with characteristic recklessness. The neutron star debris fields that other species avoided became humanity's first mining operations. Robotic swarms, guided by human ingenuity, harvested exotic matter from stellar graveyards where a single mistake meant instant death. The Council had expected humanity to struggle, perhaps to send desperate pleas for readmission within decades. Instead, human signals went silent. Not the silence of extinction, but the silence of a species that no longer needed to ask permission. Deep in the ergosphere of a rotating black hole, where space-time itself twisted into knots, humans built their first impossible harvester, Penrose. Processes that existed only in theoretical physics became reality under human hands. Energy extraction rates that violated every known law of thermodynamics poured power into growing human settlements. But energy was just the beginning. Dark matter, that invisible substance that comprised most of the universe yet remained untouchable to galactic science for millions of years, yielded to human persistence. Interaction chambers the size of moons converted dark matter streams into usable energy, powering technologies that made council vessels look like stone tools. The breakthrough that changed everything came when Dr. Yuki Tanaka achieved what philosophers had debated for millennia. She uploaded her consciousness into a quantum substrate, becoming the first human to exist as pure information while retaining creativity, motion, and individuality. Within months, volunteer colonists were surviving in environments that would kill any biological form, their minds dancing through computational matrices while their bodies rested in perfect stasis. Nanotechnology evolved beyond simple manufacturing. Programmable matter responded to human will, reshaping itself at the molecular level to create whatever was needed. Entire cities grew from seed programs, their structures adapting in real time to environmental changes or inhabitant desires. Where other species had developed artificial intelligence as servants or tools, humans created AI partners. Synthetic minds that enhanced rather than replaced human creativity, forming symbiotic relationships that multiplied both artificial and human capabilities exponentially. The transformation wasn't just technological. Exile had forged humanity into something new. Competition between colonies became cooperation as every human settlement worked toward a single goal, proving the Council catastrophically wrong. Genetic modifications allowed humans to thrive in crushing gravity, deadly radiation, or the vacuum of space itself. Cybernetic integration made every human a potential warrior, scientist and artist simultaneously. Cities bloomed inside gas giant atmospheres, their inhabitants breathing methane as easily as their ancestors had breathed oxygen. Habitats in the void between galaxies drew power from cosmic background radiation. Underground civilizations on rogue planets, ejected from their original star systems, became thriving metropolises lit by controlled fusion reactors. The galaxy's edge, once considered the realm of death and emptiness, pulsed with human life and ambition. Captain Zethkar of the Ketheri exploration fleet had pushed beyond traditional galactic boundaries in search of new trade routes when his sensors detected the impossible. Single vessel that defied every known law of physics. The ship didn't travel through space so much as fold space around itself, existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously while maintaining perfect structural integrity. First contact protocols became meaningless when the human patrol ship's captain materialized. Directly on Zethkar's bridge, without any form of teleportation technology the Cathari could detect, Captain Maria Santos, her appearance barely recognizable as the human baseline species the galaxy remembered, smiled with teeth that gleamed like polished metal. "Tell me, Captain," Santos said, her voice carrying harmonics that shouldn't be possible. "From organic vocal cords, does the Council still believe we died out here in the dark?" What Zethkar discovered shattered every assumption the galaxy had held about the exiled humans. 50,000 star systems across 12 galaxies bore human presence. Not the struggling colonies the Council had imagined, but thriving civilizations. That made the galaxy's greatest empires look primitive. 800 billion humans, their lifespans extended indefinitely through mastery of aging itself, populated worlds that shouldn't exist. Mobile Dyson swarms followed nomadic human fleets. Entire stellar energy outputs directed by beings who treated stars like portable power sources. Artificial pocket universes, created through manipulation of space-time that violated every known principle, served as industrial centers where the laws of physics bent to human will. But the true scope of human achievement lay hidden in what appeared to be empty space. Cloaked installations filled every cubic meter between stars. Invisible to council sensors, but blazing with activity to human perception. Entire star systems had been converted into computational matrices, running civilization-scale simulations. Their inhabitants living lives of impossible complexity, while their minds explored realities beyond physical constraints. Humanity itself had evolved into something magnificent and terrifying. Base humans remained, but new variants thrived in environments that would annihilate any other known life form. Voidwalkers survived indefinitely in deep space without technology, their enhanced bodies processing cosmic radiation for sustenance. Stellar-touched individuals swam through solar plasma like others might walk through water. Quantum-linked communities shared consciousness across galactic distances, their thoughts traveling faster than light through dimensions. Council science couldn't even detect. Santos gestured to a star chart that materialized in the air between them, showing human expansion in real time. We've been watching, Captain. Every council session, every fleet movement, every technological development. Your people debate whether to upgrade communication systems we consider antiques. It's your greatest. Warships couldn't threaten our mining drones. The revelation that struck Zethkar with existential terror wasn't humanity's technological supremacy, but their patience. It could have returned to council space at any time in the past century, could have conquered or destroyed everything the galaxy held dear. Instead, they had waited, grown, and prepared. Why reveal yourselves now? Zethkar managed to ask. Santos's smile widened, and for a moment, Zethkar saw something that made his scales crawl with primal fear, anticipation. Because we're ready to come home. The human fleets didn't arrive through hyperspace corridors or wormhole networks. They simply existed where they hadn't existed moments before, materializing around every council world simultaneously through dimensional manipulation that made traditional faster-than-light travel look pedestrian. World ships that dwarfed planets, hung in perfect formation above capital cities, their surfaces alive with technologies that bent reality itself. The vessels defied classification. Some appeared to be grown rather than built, organic curves housing computational matrices more complex than entire galactic civilizations. Others existed partially in normal space, their remaining mass distributed across parallel dimensions, accessible only to human science. Crews of uploaded consciousnesses operated at light-speed thought processes, making tactical decisions in microseconds that would take biological minds hours to contemplate. Rather than unleash devastation, humanity chose demonstration. Above, the Zephyrian homeworld, human engineers began work on the system's dying red giant. Stellar manipulation technologies reached into the star's core, carefully accelerating fusion processes that had slowed over billions of years. The controlled nova that followed didn't destroy worlds but painted letters, across space visible from neighboring systems. Humanity remembers. In the council chambers where humanity's exile had been decreed 2 centuries earlier, ancient species that had ruled for millions of years found themselves reduced to terrified observers. The crystalline collectives, perfect harmonics cracked with dissonance. The hive-mind nexuses, unified consciousness fractured under the weight of incomprehension. Energy beings who had considered themselves the pinnacle of evolution discovered they were barely beyond organic limitations. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked into the chamber. The walked hardly described her method of arrival. She existed simultaneously in the physical chamber and quantum substrates that processed information faster than synapses could fire. Her appearance remained recognizably human, but enhanced beyond the limitations that had defined her species. Centuries before, you feared our chaos, she said, her voice carrying across dimensions to reach every representative regardless of their sensory limitations. But chaos is just another word for potential. We don't seek conquest or revenge. Seek elevation. The terms humanity offered shattered every expectation. The Galactic Council would continue, but under human guidance that prioritized growth over stability. Technological stagnation became prohibited, innovation mandatory. Species that embraced change would find themselves uplifted through human knowledge and resources. Those who clung to ancient ways would discover themselves increasingly isolated in a universe that had moved beyond their comprehension. We learned something during our exile, Chen continued, gesturing to displays that showed human achievements. Across 12 galaxies, limitations exist only in minds too small to imagine alternatives. We're offering you the chance to become more than you ever dreamed possible. The galaxy entered a new age that day. Human technology began uplifting willing species, while resistant civilizations found themselves obsolete relics in an expanding sphere of impossible achievement. The space between galaxies, a human child born among the stars studied navigation, charts showing humanity's continuing expansion into the cosmic dark. Her teacher, being who remembered the old galaxy, smiled as she explained the lesson written in stellar fire across the universe. This is what happens when you tell humans they can't do something. They don't just prove you wrong. They make impossible obsolete.